welcome back to Let's Get Trashed, the #1 podcast in America.
#1.
We did it, folks. Thanks to you and your support, we passed Joe Rogan. And
honestly, pretty easily.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it. I just got a plaque in the mail from YouTube telling me I was the top podcaster.
Top.
Yeah. It's I haven't hung it up yet. I'll show you on a different episode.
You think I afforded this iced coffee?
Yeah. We beat Joe Rogan. We beat
Dax Shepard.
We beat
That's a top one.
Yep. We beat every woman that talks about true crime.
Yep. God, thank God.
That was
getting old.
That happened week 4. That happened episode 4 or 5. I mean, that was an easy one.
So let's not pretend. Those are bad.
We beat, I don't know if they're a podcast, but those guys I just heard about on the internet, one of them cheated on their wife, and now like everybody's fucking so upset.
Everyone cares about people cheating on their wives.
The Try guys, apparently it's just it's just dudes who try things. And I've never heard of this shit ever. Mm-hmm. Until one of the dudes like got caught cheating on his wife, and people are having a meltdown.
Yeah.
And then it's like I've never heard of this. How is everybody so upset?
I hadn't heard of it either. I was actually I had some friends over last night, and half of them, it was like 8 of us there, were very invested into this scandal, and we watched the apology video from the staff of that production company, YouTube production company, and it was absolutely riveting. Guy cheats on his wife, and people care for some reason, even though they don't personally know him.
Yeah. So whatever that is wild. I mean, I don't even like the most important things. I can't imagine. It's just crazy because it's so many. I've just never heard of this thing. So for it to go from I've never even heard of this to there's a rabid fan base in the billions of people that are like obsessed with this shit.
I hadn't heard of it either. I think they started out probably way back in the day, like before YouTube was really like.
No, I heard they were like BuzzFeed guys. So,
is that what it
they
was?
were like
they've been around though, right?
I mean, not for that long. They were BuzzFeed guys who
I guess I don't
started a thing. Yeah. But it's just crazy because it's like, and the fact it's in English, like it's. I could understand if you told me the top movie star in like China or India or whatever did something fucked up, and the billion people in India or Bangladesh or China, or whatever, like there's a billion people in each of those countries, they were all upset about it. I would be like, oh, I never heard of that, but I understand. There's an entire world that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
But
I mean, just
BuzzFeed dorks who try new food.
White guy who, would cheat. I guess was cheating on his wife, or was found at a cafe with one of the staff members. That's what it was. And then they're like, "Whoa, what's up with this?" And then he came clean, essentially. So. Okay. Pretty cut and dry cheat scenario. Definitely fucked up, but who cares at the same time?
Yeah. Either way, we're bigger than them.
Yeah.
So and here's the thing.
We don't cheat on our wives.
Well,
because we're single.
Yeah,
right.
and also now that I'm super famous,
it's time to cheat on your wife.
I can't wait to get a wife so I can cheat on her. That's why you do it. That's why you get into entertainment, folks. That's why every man
red hot scandal.
That's why every man is in this business.
Yeah.
That we call show.
Because man, the people that have a scandal and come like out of the scandal, it's like, God, man, that's like a new level of fame.
Yeah.
You know? That's like impressive as fuck. I don't want a scandal that sounds dangerous.
Let's put our microphone by our mouths.
Can you hear me?
Now, yeah.
Sorry. It's because I don't have headphones this time.
You're putting, yeah. You want to use these headphones?
No, I got you.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Because you put it up to your throat like you had a tracheotomy, like you're a
scandal, baby.
Like you're a cigarette
I'm ready to.
Guys, I need a scandal. This is how we're doing. Like, yeah,
Cigarette scandal.
microphone to the mouth. You can have the headphones.
No, I don't. I didn't bring headphones today.
You can have
now
mine.
I'm getting roasted. No, I don't want them. I'm
All
gonna do it right.
All right. Well, yeah. Anyway, we're bigger than those guys. We're bigger than. I just found out about the lamest show ever. I've never heard of it.
Show?
There's a show called Mueller, She Wrote, and it's a group of women. Like, the entire podcast is dissecting the Mueller report from 2017. It's just an anti-Trump podcast. Talking about the Robert Mueller and it's just like we make it into digestible, funny sound bites, and it's like that sounds like the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it sounds pretty bad. I hope all of those women get scandals. I hope their husbands cheat on them.
Every single one of their husbands is secretly voting for Trump. Guaranteed. First of all, if they're married at all, but guaranteed, any man they come in contact with is voting for Trump. Which I'm not saying that that's cool. What I am saying is
it's funny.
It is funny. What I am saying is, ladies, you're doing more harm than good.
Yeah, give Trump more content. Good job.
Mueller, She Wrote. Ugh. That made me want to throw up in my bed when I was reading that today. All right. Here on to something less disgusting than a Robert Mueller themed podcast. We're talking about the Black Phone today.
Black Phone.
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah. I talked to Ethan Hawke once.
You know what's so funny? Did you really?
Yeah.
I've got a way less interesting story than you do, but let me hear it.
Okay, mine may be less interesting than yours. This is what happened.
No, it can't be less interesting than mine.
Okay. I am a sound engineer and musician. I've been doing sound for about 10 years. I got hired to do this event, and Ethan Hawke was staying at this kind of hotel. It wasn't a hotel. I think it's off Gibson Street. It's kind of a secretive hotel, I think, for celebrities or very rich people.
Okay.
But it's on South Congress. And he was staying there with some other B-list actors that I kind of recognize. And I was like, man.
Other B-list as in he's B-list?
No. Sorry.
Other actors who were...
That were kind of recognizable, kind of not. And I was setting up, and it was they were just sitting very close to me. And I'm like, man, I would love to say hey man, I loved you in such and such. But at the time, I couldn't think of a movie that I knew him from. And now I'm pretty familiar with his catalog, I think. But
other than the helicopter one,
I don't even know that movie.
Black Hawk Down, that was him, right?
I have no idea.
He's a dude that's in my mind, that's famous.
Yeah.
But honestly, other than the movie we're talking about right now, off the top of my head, he's not a dude I can be I recognize him from something.
Oh, I mean, I definitely know who he is but yeah, anyways. So I was hoping to say something to him, and I couldn't think of a movie. And I'm like, well, if I get the opportunity, I would love to say, talk to him, but I don't want to bother him. So that's kind of in the back of my mind.
Of course.
Setting the shit up. I go outside. I was smoking cigarettes at the time. And I'm smoking a cigarette, looking at my phone. Someone walks past me and says, hey, how's it going, man? It's Ethan Hawke.
He comes up to you.
He approaches me, but he was it wasn't a stop and talk to me. It was a passerby. And I was like, hey, what's up, man? I didn't really look up from my phone.
Yeah.
And I missed my opportunity to properly engage. I would be like, hey, you're Ethan Hawke, right? I liked you in such and such. I was so in my phone and my cigarette that I played off as I'm busy right now type of person. And I missed it.
You're too busy for Ethan Hawke.
I was too busy for Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
That cigarette was hidden.
So I was right. It's a much better story than mine, because here's what happened to me. This was in March of 2022.
Yeah.
This was South by Southwest.
That was nice of him, though. He was very friendly.
Hey,
I'll say that.
I've heard he's great. I got, I'm sure, he said hi to a stranger.
Yeah, it was super nice.
That's a very polite thing to do in Texas. Yeah. That's what, so South by Southwest, I'm downtown picking up my my South by Southwest artist wristband at the convention center. There's a little art exhibit downstairs across the street. put on by Meow Wolf that I love. So me and a couple buddies of mine went to go check out the Meow Wolf art exhibit. We walked there. I walk right in, say hi to the lady checking tickets or whatever. I walk right in. I'm looking around. The two guys I'm with, they lagged behind me. They got into the building like 2 minutes after I did. 3 minutes after I did. I was like, I didn't even ask them. It wasn't even long enough for me to be like, what happened to you guys? They just walked up after me. And one of them comes up to me and says, man, I just met Ethan Hawke outside and got to talk to him.
Nice.
I was like, really? Like, I didn't even...
Yeah.
I must have walked by him and not even seen him. I'm not he had really long hair at the time.
Okay.
Just like in this film.
Yeah.
So I might not have even recognized him anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I necessarily even would. I genuinely don't really know what he looks like. Like, I don't think he's a type of celebrity I would recognize, like...
Yeah.
On the street. But yeah, so my two friends met Ethan Hawke, and I just strolled on by and went into the art exhibit.
Yeah, I couldn't even think of a movie anyways. I think I would have looked like an absolute fool.
He must have been in town for the South by Film Festival promoting this film. It must have been doing...
Oh, this was very recently.
This was March.
Oh, wow. Okay.
6 months ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, he's always in something.
7 months
Every
ago.
year he's in something.
Is he?
I think so. I mean, he's working. He's been working. He's in shit all the time, man.
Is he a star? I mean, is he like...
I don't think he's I don't...
What's the movie he did before Black Phone? What was his last movie?
Yeah.
That's the thing is, I don't think of like... I don't know.
I know what you mean.
He inhabits that like...
He's kind of the perfect amount of fame, in my opinion.
Yeah, as far as like living your life, as far as your aspirations of being famous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would take Ethan Hawke's fame for sure.
Bro, he has the perfect level of fame in my opinion.
He's actually, now that we're the top podcast on earth, he's probably even lower than us.
Unfortunately, yeah. This is what I was going to compliment him on, a movie called Predestination.
Never heard of it.
I was like, I don't think a lot of people have. But I was like, what's the movie? Oh, Predestination. But I think...
Wait. He was in Training Day?
I guess so.
He was
in The Northman?
Oh yeah, he was in The Northman.
Really?
Yeah, he was the dad.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. That's the other thing is he was all bearded up and he was all Vikinged up for that shit. So
yeah,
I've never seen any of the Before Sunrise movies. I can't imagine those are good.
Yeah, The Magnificent Seven. I actually liked him in that movie.
The remake.
And I think he's doing another like westerny role. Actually, I thought he was kind of cool.
Here,
in that
pull
movie.
that shit over here so I can.
Sorry, bud.
God damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, dude. There's a lot of who gives a shit in
Adopt a Highway 2019. Never heard of that.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
2016 In a Valley of Violence.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, dude. He's like I was about to say. He inhabits
Tesla.
Never exactly.
Yeah.
He inhabits this weird like space of. He's like Christian Slater-ish. With like where he has some really good movies, but he's mostly a who gives a shit kind of guy.
Unfortunately,
I think.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about him is that he's like married, or maybe he's not even still married to her, but Uma Thurman.
Oh, I didn't know that. Actually,
yeah, him and Uma Thurman were married. They have a daughter who's an actress now. Who's, I think she's pretty hot, but she looks exactly like. Maya Hawke. Yeah.
Maya Hawke.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the joke, a common joke you'll see on the internet is like Maya Hawke looks like if Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman had a baby.
Because yeah.
A, that's exactly what happened, but B, she literally does look like that. Like you can look at Maya Hawke and you can tell which half of her is Uma Thurman and which half of her is Ethan. Like she didn't get like a blend. She got like
both.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah, she got like it's like when you have to create your avatar on like a video game. But you're playing it with your girlfriend. She's like, let's do my hair and your nose and my eyes and your lips. Like, and then you just create, baby. Yeah, you create this little Nintendo character that doesn't look like a person, but looks like the two people. Anyway, so that's that.
This is probably the most obvious Ethan Hawke role. Like, oh, Ethan Hawke, this movie, this year, you know, like where these other movies were like, what? I don't know.
Well,
like,
he was in Training Day, according to that thing. Was he the dude in Training Day? Yeah, I guess he was. He was the.
He's Denzel's counterpart.
Yeah, I didn't know. Hey, Jake, I didn't know you like to get wet. He's Jake. So that was really. I mean, that's like, that must be it. That's so good. You get to be famous forever because of that.
Yeah.
Because of how great he was in Training Day, how great that movie is. He's pretty young when that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, 30. So you get to be famous forever. That's a movie of the caliber of like,
you're in.
No matter how many pieces of dog shit you do after that, casting directors are always going to be like, ooh, what about Ethan Hawke? And he's like, I don't know, he hasn't been good lately. Yeah, but look at Training Day.
Yeah, he was in Training Day.
Yeah, that's a lot of like cash. That's how Kevin Costner gets to be. I mean, he made some of the worst movies ever.
Yeah,
but he won a fucking Oscar,
mm-hmm.
and did was it Dancing with Wolves?
Yeah,
yeah.
He just does Christian movies.
Kevin Costner?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, dude. He's like the dad in a Christian movie.
Christian, as in like Kevin Sorbo Christian,
like bad Christian,
like low budget,
like Mercy Me. Like what's that movie that came out? I Can Only Imagine. Like he plays the dad in that.
That's the name of the movie?
Yeah.
Is it named after that
song? It's about that song.
It's named after that song that was popular.
That song
when I
made
was in,
so much money.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, it still makes money.
Every church praise band played it exclusively.
Yeah.
From 2004 to 2007. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Because that's when I was in the scene.
Yeah, hardcore scene.
Yeah. I think we were more straight edge.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about this movie.
Yeah, let's get into it.
And we'll talk about it, and then we'll do a little spoiler designation because I don't want to spoil it for the people who haven't seen it.
Okay.
Which is a good sign because usually, folks, if y'all haven't been studying,
don't give a shit.
If you haven't been studying Let's Get Trashed game tape, you might not understand one of my tendencies, but that is the only time, or not the only, but most frequently, the reason I try to separate spoilers is because I'm going to recommend you go see it. Mm-hmm. I hate to telegraph my intentions this early on.
Yeah.
I know I should be keeping you on the edge of your seat waiting for my recommendation at the end of this. But if I just talk about a movie and start spoiling the shit out of it, it's because I'm like, don't go see this. But
yeah,
if I think there's a good break, it's probably because I'm going to tell you to maybe check it out. The 70s, Denver.
Yeah.
Late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
We're in Denver, which is very extra creepy because I'm flying to Denver 36 hours from now.
Don't use any phones.
I'm going to look around.
Ghost call you.
While I'm in town, while I'm in Denver, I'm going to get
Find an old ass
I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I'm just going to walk around. I'm going to
go in an antique store and pick up phones. Hello?
I'm just going to start kicking in the doors to houses looking for
Are there kids in here?
Yeah. I'm just going up to any dude.
Did you kidnap any kids?
Any dude with long hair, I'd be like, and fucking shake him down, grab him by.
If you see a magician, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna grab him by his fucking lapel and be like, you give me those fucking kids right now.
Where them kids at?
Yeah.
Where'd you put them children's?
So this town's having a rough go of it, folks. Do we even know the name of this town? We don't know. It doesn't matter.
It says North Denver.
Yeah, okay. So it's some suburb in Denver.
Yeah.
And kids are going missing. Yeah. They are like, there's been 3 abductions so far. It starts off with our main character almost winning a baseball game, but giving up a walk-off home run on the third strike. Should have been strike 3. But instead, he gives up a fucking walk-off homer, and they lose instantly. So we've got
Finn.
Yeah.
Are you looking for names?
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to think of what I even want to say. But anyway, kids are getting abducted, and every
all the kids know it. They're talking about it.
Yeah, every month it's the topic. It's what kids are talking. It's what everybody's concerned about. Why are kids going? There's been 4 missing so far. After the baseball game, a 5th kid goes missing.
Yep.
Or a 4th kid goes missing. A couple months later, our main character's friend goes missing.
Yep.
That's kid number 5 is missing. Damn.
Uh-huh.
All boys.
All boys.
All boys going missing. Teenage boys, middle school, early high school, whatever. They're like 7th to 10th grade, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, kids are going missing. We've got our main character and his precocious sister. We have an abusive father.
I did not like this guy in this movie.
Yeah, I mean,
not as like a character, as like an actor.
Oh, you thought it was bad acting?
I thought he was pretty bad.
Interesting. Yeah, he was very. What didn't you like about?
I think he was eating his lines a little too much, and like his pacing was bad. And it just felt. I thought the little girl was killing it, and I was like, he's getting in the way of her performance.
Yeah,
yeah, she was really good.
I'll say right off the bat, I typically am not a huge fan of like kids in movies. I don't like
child actors.
Yeah, I don't like children and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like a lot of stories that revolve around children. I don't think they particularly have fascinating lives.
Mm-hmm. I just don't like it because they always give them way too much. Like they give them adult style level dialogue.
That's
And they did that. I actually did that to this girl in this movie, and I did not like that. But that wasn't her fault. She's a good actor.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. She has too much. In order to make the dialogue snappy and smart, they have to give these kids too much real world like wherewithal.
Yeah.
This she's younger. She's in 7th grade. He's in 9th grade. Whatever it is, it's something like that. And she's she's snapping off clever lines.
Bossing.
Yeah, exactly.
To these detectives.
Yeah. Which I'm just not a fan of. That kind of stuff doesn't ring true, which I guess is silly to say in a movie like this. But anyway, yeah. So, and more importantly, let's even set the tone before we even talk even further about the abductions. Let's talk about this Denver 1978 town that is rife with teen violence.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I'm watching it. This entire setup to the film, it's all about like bullying, and his best friend is a super strong kid that beats the shit out of another bully. He beats the shit out of like the biggest bully in school. Yeah. Because it's like this kid's the actual strongest kid, but he's not really a bully. He's just he's just a dude that doesn't take shit, and he takes on the biggest bully. Robin Arellano, the one Mexican
sick ass karate.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I was like, what?
The one Mexican kid in town is like the best fighter, and he does
like MMA level shit.
He does a Chuck Norris kick.
Yeah.
To Moose.
Roundhouses him.
Yeah, he roundhouse kicks the Moose, the bully, in the face, which is, I mean, it was awesome. But this kid can legitimately fight.
He did like a reverse rear naked choke on the guy, like bending his back backwards, and I was like,
yeah.
Who could execute that perfectly?
And it's so funny because he's wearing like
cool guy clothes.
He's dressed like the Indian from Wayne's World 2. Like
I don't remember that. He reminds me of the kid from Cobra Kai, like the blonde guy, like cut off shirts and bandana.
He's got the bandana.
He's
got
the
like
good guy.
He's got like they call him like the Mexican kid. They use the Moose bully in order to establish that he's the actual bully. He uses a slur for Hispanic people. But this kid's also, he's wearing like he's got his bandana, and he's wearing like a dream catcher around his neck. So he's also got the Native American heritage going on, something like that.
Yeah, they lean into that a lot.
Either way, that kid's fighting, and he's got to protect he protects our main our protagonist, Finn. He protects Finney from getting bullied by a bunch of other kids. And then as soon as he gets abducted, those other kids fucking use that opportunity to pounce on Finney.
Ass.
Yeah, beat the shit out of him. It's just constant. There's like the bullying in this town.
It's
insane,
rowdy.
Dude, and it's the 70s, so everybody's wearing weird clothes. It's literally this Denver suburb. It's like watching the Warriors.
Yeah,
it's
it
just
is.
Yeah. It's just a bunch of 70s clothes. It's a bunch of open vests. It's a bunch of jean jacket vests.
Yeah,
beating the shit out of each other.
Shirts.
Yeah, striped shirts. Bandanas fucking each other up, and they're all 14.
Yep.
So I've never,
pissed off as hell.
Yeah, wearing 70s clothes and beating the fuck out of each other.
While they're also getting abducted.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. I would like to see I wouldn't mind to see a version of this movie that, like, let's do this movie again, and let's not even do the horror film abduction part. Let me just see what the fuck is wrong with this town.
Yeah.
Is it, they tried to give us a little bit of something. The dad, the alcoholic, abusive dad opens the newspaper, and of course the headline is, they're getting rid of veteran pensions, or they're cutting steel mill hours, or something like that. Something that's putting a malaise on this,
on the parents,
on this town, or on this particular dude's life. But I don't know, a town of like, what the fuck is going on with these children who are vicious to each other. Might be an interesting movie on its own. However, this movie is based on a Joe Hill book. You know who Joe Hill is?
Oh, I didn't know it was based on a book.
Yeah.
No, Joe Hill. No, I did not know that.
Joe Hill's Stephen King's son.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. So it's a Stephen King Jr. novel. Not even a novel. I think it's a short story.
Okay.
So about the short story that Stephen King's son wrote is about a clown that abducts children.
Real original.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Almost like, and he's like, Dad's not going to sue me.
Yeah. Yeah. What the hell?
Which, frankly, if I'm Stephen King, with how prolific Stephen King is, I would just write books instead of like. You know how like parents like set their kid, give them like take over the family business.
Sure.
Or what's his name? Here's a perfect example of what I'm about to say. DJ Khaled. He's like that DJ music producer. He puts his baby. He has like a 2-year-old baby, and that kid is credited as an executive producer on like all his tracks.
Jeez.
Every single
thing. So
thing.
he gets royalties?
Yeah. So that kid's going to get royalties off of DJ Khaled. He's like, at 2 years old, this kid is executive producer.
Yeah.
Which means for his entire life, he's going to get like royalties off these tracks.
Wow.
So that's like what he's doing for, that's like that's one of his plans. I mean, obviously, he could just give his kid a pile of money, but he just wants to give him.
Or maybe
like,
the baby's a really good producer.
Yeah.
That could be the other part.
Yeah, he's recording his sick cries.
Actually, do it this way.
But that's what Stephen King. I bet you Stephen King is just hammering out this shit, and he's like, I don't even want to release this. Like, here, he just like kid, put your name on it, and then you release it. My publicist will do it because I tell him to.
Sure.
And then also you can just whatever happens with it, you get that money. I bet you that's what happened. But also, so the movie producers had to like, okay, well, we can't obviously do a movie about a clown kidnapping kids because that's been done.
Yeah, in the same vintage film lens that it has.
Yeah, a 70s clown abducting kids. I feel like that's been done.
Yeah.
Let's change him to a magician. And then we're all good. Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
You live in a tiny little town. You live in a little suburb outside of Denver.
Mm-hmm.
You have a son, early teenage years, small town. 5 kids have been abducted in the last year.
Yep.
How long do you stay in this town?
You stay in the town.
You stay in the town?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're committed to the town.
Well, I'm a drunk.
Oh, okay.
I know what you mean. Yeah, that is a really weird thing. Like, should we leave or?
Well,
and even when not to jump ahead, but there's moments where they're really pinpointing where the areas of the kidnappings are happening, which would be the most. I mean, everyone would put that together so fast. They're like, it's happening in within this very specific radius.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we move a mile away? You know,
right? That's what I gotta wonder, because you wonder, like, if you got kids, obviously their safety is, and it's like,
sure,
they're stealing boys off the street
that are of this age.
Yeah,
that's my son age.
Yeah. First things first, you're not walking to school anymore.
Mm-hmm.
No more walking to school. You either take the bus or
you get a gun now,
or I'll drive you.
Yeah, or never walk alone, or like all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
And then the other thing is like, and then it's like, all right, we'll just leave. We'll move to we'll move to Aurora, another suburb.
Yeah.
And then you can go to that high school, and then you can get shot
instead. That's quicker.
Yeah, then you can get shot at Columbine.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's like, how many school shootings happen before you're like, I'm gonna homeschool this kid?
Yeah.
I fucking know enough geometry to get this kid through high school, and I don't need him. I don't need him getting fucking shot. That's if it was all concentrated. That's the thing. It's just 5 abductions in this little town.
Very concentrated area. Yeah.
If one city in America was just having constant school shootings, at some point you could be like, I'm gonna fucking.
I mean, if that happened,
I'm gonna open up a trigonometry book and try to teach this kid myself.
Yeah.
Because I just can't. I can't risk this anymore.
No. Yeah. I mean, I think after the second one, all the parents would be like, "Oh, no. Like, first one's like, oh, that could be weird.
Yeah.
But the second one, you're like, no, we're done. Well,
we're out. 3 is the crazy, because 3 is like, oh shit, there's a dude. We have a dude doing this
pattern.
Now. Yeah. 3 is like, there's an epidemic of
14-year-old
boy
abductions. Yeah.
Then, so anyway, that's what's happening, and of course, our hero, our protagonist, Finney Blake, he's on his way home from school. His sister goes off on her own to go hang out with a friend. Finn is walking home by himself, and then the black magician van pulls up.
Abracadabra.
And steps out, and he even like drops a couple things pretending to be clumsy. He does that kind of whole thing. But obviously, you know what's coming. He's grabbing this kid.
He's grabbing this boy. Also, that guy would be the number one suspect, because they say early on, there's a black balloon left at the scene of the crime. Like, or some shit like that. He would be the number one suspect man.
1,000%.
He has a black van. It says Abracadabra on the side. It looks like from the kidnapping that there's always black balloons in his van.
Yeah, that's not details they've released to the public.
Yeah.
As we find out.
But cops, come on.
But yeah, I was like, well, who's buying black balloons in this town? Could it be the black themed? Could it be the goth magician?
Yeah, could it be the obviously goth magician, the guy that walks around in weird face paint?
Yeah, like he's got his face is painted. He wears all black, like he's Johnny Cash, plus a black top hat. He might be buying some balloons.
Yeah,
and if he's buying balloons,
we got him.
I don't know for sure, but I'm rolling the dice to say those balloons are black.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's when our hero gets abducted, and he's now stuck. He's stuck in a basement.
Yep, he's in a weird concrete.
Yeah,
supposedly.
And we'll stop this. We're not quite there yet, but I will stop and we'll talk about spoilers a little bit. But one thing, I don't know how to say this, so. I'm going to say something.
You think he deserved it?
I'm going to say something, and if you get upset by this, if you're upset and you think and you don't like what I say, audience, I'm telling you, you are wrong. You are misunderstanding my point. There's no way you could possibly get upset about this.
I don't know what you're going to say, but I'm just going to go and say I back you on this.
You are wrong if you think this doesn't make sense. Here's one kind of problem I have with this film, and this is not a thing I want to see. That's very important. I'm not looking forward to this type of content, but in a movie where a adult man is abducting young boys, everybody just use your brain. What do you think an adult man is abducting young boys for?
Sexuals.
Yes.
Yes.
And that doesn't come into play in this movie at all.
No.
They completely avoid. There's not a single hint that this dude is a gay pedophile, which he
could be. We don't know.
Clearly, well, in real life,
that would be the reason.
If there's any attempt at verisimilitude in this creating this villain for the screen, it is 1,000% obvious as to like what this dude, what he would be doing. He's a gay pedophile who abducts children, and then he commits sexual crimes. That is, I mean, because what we have none of that. What we have now is we have a creepy magician guy who he abducts children. He abducts boys. He abducts 13-year-old boys for the express point of like playing mind games with them, and he wants to. He threatens to beat them up. He's playing this game, and he's trying to. It's weird. I understand why they didn't want. Again, the point is, guys, if you're gonna make a film like this, make it.
Yeah.
We all know what the bad guy's motivation here is for. We know what these types of people do in real life. We know what they're doing. Don't try to make a movie where that's your bad guy without having him do the obvious bad thing that we all know that these guys are gonna do. All right? He's a pedophile who's abducting boys for pedophilic, sexual, gay reasons. That's, for it to be like, oh, he just does that. He just abducted 6 of these boys, but he's not committing the crime that every viewer is instinctively obviously knows.
Yeah, I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, for sure he's gonna.
When is that? We're like, when is that hammer gonna drop?
That's gonna suck. I do not want to see that.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah,
we're like, when is this hammer gonna drop? Yeah. And it never does, because the filmmakers like, oh, we don't want to make him. We just want to make him a creepy murderer. Yeah. A creepy murderer. Do you want to play a game? Saw kind of guy.
Yeah.
Pretending to leave the door open and waiting at the top of the stairs to beat the shit out of him. That's, he plays mind games with a 12-year-old boy. Like, first of all, if you can't win a mind game against an adolescent, you're a fucking idiot. And furthermore, again, it's just like, why bother to do this without making the villain what we all know the villain is?
Yeah. The
reason not to do it is because you don't want to get accused of homophobia. Like, why does he have to be a gay pedophile? People, on a certain political spectrum react to that kind of stuff.
They're like, putting maybe the child actor through some weird shit too.
I'm in no part of me thinks this movie had to be made.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we need to see that movie.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you're gonna make this movie, let's not pretend. Don't make us all sit there and ignore the obvious gay pedophile part of it. Like, we all know what it is.
Especially when it's only boys. It's like, pedophile.
Even the clown, even the It clown was like, that was boys and girls.
Everyone's on the tape.
He was
he's poly.
Going after kids. Yeah. So that's just the one thing. That's my biggest criticism of it. It's like either make him a villain that we can understand and like that we all expect, or make them not.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in this. Again, Saw,
mind game magician.
Yeah, Saw makes sense. Hey, I'm just a psych. I just love getting off on these games. I've got two people trapped in a room. One of you's got half a knife, and the other one's got something else, and you have to kill the other one.
Yeah.
That's fine. We know that exists. We saw that happen in Vietnam. Vietnam, the American POWs, they're forcing American POWs to play Russian roulette, like we saw in Deer Hunter.
Yeah.
And so for fun, they would torture American POWs by making them play Russian roulette, and one of them would die, and then all the Viet Cong would laugh, and then the living one goes back into his fucking bamboo pen. Saw makes sense because that kind of cruelty has existed in real life.
Yeah. And so does, unfortunately,
and then the kind of cruelty they didn't show in this movie also exists in real life. way more than the playing mind games with my teen captive exists.
Yeah.
So again, if you're upset by that, it's because you don't understand it. You're dumb if you're upset by what I just said. At all.
And there's so much more to talk about too, but they could have even been like, and a body was found and it was, violated, or something like that.
Yeah. Obviously you can't film fucking child pornography. The actor's 14 or 15, you can't, I'm not saying you film it, but you have, that is what this bad guy is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then to completely gloss over it. Again, now that was the most tense part of the film, was when is that going to happen?
I don't understand his motives at all. Even for
he has none.
He has zero motives because we got to get into spoilers pretty soon because I'm going to run out of stuff.
All right, folks.
Let's get into it.
If you want to avoid spoilers, skip to 1 hour and 4 minutes. And we'll do a non-spoiler section at the end. All right. I've got orange juice pulp all over my microphone.
You do. It's on your mustache. You got it. But even when he breaks through, I'm just going to talk about shit now.
Yeah.
When he breaks through and finds the meat locker, I'm like, oh, is he selling meat? Is he selling boy meat?
Yes.
No, he's not. That's just a lot of meat that's in a fridge.
Yeah, they just have a freezer.
I was like, oh, maybe that's why he's doing it. Oh, there's his motive. He is a psycho, but maybe he enjoys doing this, but maybe he's selling the meat or eating the meat. That's a motive too. He just likes boy meat for some stupid reason. I was like, nope. And they were like, no, that's not your motive. Actually, he's just a weirdo.
100%. I also don't mind. I don't mind a villain not having. I don't mind a villain just appearing.
Yeah.
And not having a backstory.
Sure.
Famously, obviously, probably the best version of that ever done was The Dark Knight, with the Joker just being this anomaly that exists.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed the first time I watched that
Really?
movie. Well, because the first scene when the Joker's like, do you want to know how I got these scars? And I was immediately like, oh, man, I don't want to fucking know. Man, don't give us this shit. And so for the next 10, 20 minutes of the film, I was like,
bummer.
I don't want to, he's an abused kid and now he's the Joker. Shut the fuck up. I don't even care. And then the second time he goes, you know how I got these scars?
He's making shit up.
He changes the story and it's clear that he's making it all up and it's just fucking nonsense and he's lying and he's just crazy. That's when I was back. I was like, I love this. I was back on board in a big way, and it's one of the best, it's such a great film.
Absolutely.
For that. It's so well written. That's one of the best performances ever.
Yeah.
But that's exactly so. I am on record as saying I love it when they don't explain a character's backstory. But there's something.
But most killers do have a thing.
Yeah.
Most killers do have a sort of reason, whether it's they're not just willy nilly doing shit. They have usually a pattern that they like to succeed at. For sure. Yeah.
So I don't think the killer. I don't think the grabber, as our villain is called. The
grabber.
I don't think the grabber is a very realistic villain. Now you could say that that's a dumb complaint based on the fact that we also have a young girl, the sister, who's having prophetic dreams.
There's magic in this.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's magic in this movie.
There's a little
it's
bit
not a practical movie.
Yeah. So, but nobody knows that it's a magical world except for us.
Yeah.
And the girl who has her dreams.
She's
and
like
then,
a clairvoyant of dreams.
Yeah. And then the boy who's talking to the former victims.
Yeah.
I do really like this conceit of he's trapped in the basement now. He's the only one trapped in the basement, which means he correctly deduces that the 5 children abducted before him are dead.
Yeah.
There's an old phone on the wall of this basement. It's never been torn out, but it's certainly not connected. However, it rings every once in a while.
Yeah.
And eventually, he picks it up, and there's a voice on the other end. Not connected, not talking to nobody, but somehow the
phone.
Yeah, the previous deceased have decided to communicate with the current captive using this phone.
Yeah.
And it's a very cool kind of storytelling thing. Everything, a bunch of different aspects of it, they all line up together. It's very much like a Seinfeld episode where all the 4 storylines converge at the end.
Yeah.
Or even like a Captain Planet where with our powers combined, because every
that is what it was.
All 5 kids had their own attempt at escaping, and it takes all 5 of those
to defeat the monster.
Yeah,
yeah.
Finn tries to escape all 5 ways, and he's not successful any of those ways. But when at the final showdown, the final confrontation, he is successful. Because he's tried all 5 of those, and he's able to use them in conjunction with each other, and then they all play a part in his success.
I think it was a little sloppy. They do, like, on paper all play into some, but some of them felt like sloppy, like the fridge one. Like, he couldn't get out. The only thing he took from digging that whole thing was getting a screw out of the thing, and I think he used the screw for something, right?
No, the fridge one paid off because
the meat
distracted the dog.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So the final showdown, our villain brings a vicious dog down.
Yeah.
And ties him up near the door so the kid can't escape. And but because of his earlier attempt, he got through the wall into a freezer, but he couldn't get out of the freezer because it was one of those old timey freezers that's like has a real lock on it, like a really good handle, which I feel like you could have broken through.
Yeah,
that would have been possible.
Yeah,
that would have been That would either way. So he couldn't get out that way, but he could get to the steaks. So he takes a steak out and throws it to the dog, and then the dog doesn't care about killing this boy anymore, and he makes his final escape. So that kind of storytelling, like I said, it's a little cheesy to make every aspect of it kind of like come together and be valuable.
Yeah,
but
it reminded me. It did exactly what The Village did. Or I'm sorry, not The Village. I'm thinking of Signs. When Shyamalan at the end, like the water is placed near the aliens, and then he tells. Do you remember?
Vaguely,
vaguely.
It's been a long. I know water kills aliens.
Is set up and magically explained because, like, when the wife is hit by the car, she's like, "Tell Jesse to swing hard, or something like that." Because he used to be a baseball player,
and he kills him with a baseball bat.
And then the girl, for some weird reason, likes to have water everywhere, and that plays into the defeat of like the alien in their house. Like, it all kind of comes to it was pretty much Signs. It was a way to kind of like use weird, unexplained instances and sayings and activities to bring something down in a way. I don't know.
Well, that's very. I mean, that makes sense. I haven't seen Signs in a long time. Signs is famously a bad movie, especially regarding like water kills these aliens.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Then why would they come here?
They didn't do their research. They found the one planet in the entire galaxy that has water.
Yeah,
and then they tried to fuck with us. And also in Iowa, like that's where they started was cornfields in Iowa. It's like that's not where you start. You go to
Vegas.
Yeah,
you gamble.
You go to some place that matters. Like the Valley. No. So anyway, let's see. Ethan Hawke gets to wear a mask the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool for an actor to not have to do anything.
Yeah. I mean, acting, I think most of acting is really in the voice and your tone.
Most of acting is in the voice.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I really do believe that.
So acting wasn't invented until silent film acting means nothing to you.
I don't watch that bullshit. But no,
acting was invented after the talkie was invented.
Well, those were very like obviously, I don't know. When I watch a movie, I really do focus on the person's voice and the accent that they're choosing for the role and like how loud they're speaking. Like I really think about the voice a lot. Okay. And I thought his voice was kind of cool for this. He did this like very like, and we're playing a game and we're like, yeah. I was like, I like your choice. I think it sounded really cool, like with the mask. I thought it was cool, but there were too many things in this movie that were too distracting and bad or weird or cheesy for me to like be sucked into it or be like, you're a scary guy.
Yeah.
You know?
He did do a weird voice. He actually, that's kind of how he got the role or not. So the director wanted Ethan Hawke for this role. Ethan Hawke, according to my IMDb research, Ethan Hawke does not enjoy horror films.
Yeah.
He made one in 2012 that he didn't want to do, or against his like initial judgment, but he did this one in 2012, and he had a better time than he thought he would. But he's not a horror film guy. He doesn't really like to watch them. He doesn't want to be on set doing weird stuff, making somebody uncomfortable.
Sure.
Certainly doesn't want to do what I think should happen in this movie, which is, play into the obvious, psychosexual nature of this kind of criminal. He definitely doesn't want to do that kind of thing. So he's just, in general, not that comfortable with this kind of stuff. But the director really wanted him. Director sent him the script, and Ethan Hawke's like, if I like the script, if it's good enough, then sure, I'll put aside my preferences and I'll do it. Anyway, he calls the director back, leaves a voicemail using the voice. He liked it. He says he creates the voice. He figures out what voice he wants to do, and he leaves the director a voicemail. Yeah, as in character, being like, "Here's the voice, and I'm gonna do it, and whatever the voice is."
Fucking actors, dude.
Yeah. So that was like, and then the director hears this voicemail, and he's like, "Cha-ching! I got Ethan Hawke for my
cha-ching,
film.
baby."
I got it made.
Hey, I will say this movie couldn't have been expensive to make.
No, it definitely wasn't expensive, which I like. Only a few different sets. Not a ton of a little bit of costuming, but there's some old cars. You got to dig up some 1978 cars and make them look like they're make them look like they're not 40 years old. Yeah, but 48, 44 years old. But yeah, overall, nice low budget picture. The idea of the phone being a conduit to the afterlife. Cool, very cool story. Again, it takes it supernatural. It's no longer, like realistic or grounded or at all. It is a supernatural thing. Same thing with the little girl having her dreams. I've talked to other friends about this film before I had even seen it. I just finished watching it a few hours ago. But I knew from the trailer, there's one kind of big story element that doesn't quite work. And it is the fact that we have two main characters, basically. We have the brother and sister. We have Finn and whatever the girl's name is.
Gwen.
Thank
Gwendolyn?
you. Yep, Finn and Gwen. So her brother gets kidnapped. He's obviously our main character. He is working diligently to get out of this basement and escape on his own. Mm-hmm. That's his hero's journey, and we have to see that. Obviously, our hero has to triumph. How is Finn going to get himself out of the situation? That's the movie we're watching. Her story is the B story. How is she going to rescue her brother using her magic dreams that she has, using her premonitions or whatever they are? Here's the problem is that her story is, how do I rescue my brother? Mm-hmm. His story is, how do I rescue myself? one of these stories can't pay off because
they're
so
they can't have the same result.
They have They have the exact same goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, well, so it's obvious that we have our main character needs to be the one that's our main story. That's our A story.
Sure.
Like a sitcom. That's our A story. That's the one that definitely has to pay off. He has to rescue himself. That's what we're watching this movie for a very respectable 100 minutes. I love it. That's what we're watching.
Mm-hmm.
So her entire B story is pretty ineffective and kind of meaningless because
I mean
it doesn't.
We're in spoilers.
Yeah, we're in spoilers, but
it does help them find the bodies. So it didn't fully get in the way of his.
True, but that's not what she was setting out to do. And also, they would have done that. They would have found that eventually.
Yeah.
Once they found the guy, I mean,
they would have been like done research.
Yeah.
Oh, he owns these homes.
Yeah,
blah, blah,
let's
yada,
look.
yada,
Let's
yada.
look at all the property he owns. Oh, he owns the building across the street.
Bodies.
Let's fucking walk around there for a little bit. So, again, and that's the kind of thing I could tell from the trailer.
Yeah.
Was that like her story? One of these characters' stories is not going to pay off. So they should have focused her on something different somehow. And I just don't know what that is.
Or to do something, yeah.
Yeah, who knows? But so for that reason, it's a little unnecessary to kind of even have her. And then there's one other little kind of nitpicky thing. I don't know. I don't want to get this into like, but anyway, one of the kids tells him the combination to the lock.
Yeah,
and that's his first escape. He escapes very Jeffrey Dahmer-esque. One of Dahmer's victims actually escaped, and then Dahmer captured him outside and was able to get him back inside his house. So this is obviously heavily inspired from the real life of Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy and whoever the other, some of the Mansons, I guess, other serial killers. But he escapes. He clearly knows the lock because he unlocked it and got out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the movie, after he overcomes our villain, he escapes the exact same lock. The villain doesn't think to change it.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of weird.
That's nothing. That's nitpicky, but come on, folks.
Okay, the biggest plot hole in this movie.
Yeah, and I don't.
No. I'm saying this is.
Yeah, I know.
I'm about to say.
I know, but I don't want to go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
This is not a plot hole. There's a lot of like those YouTube channels that are like pointing out plot holes and pointing out like science, like, oh, actually, if you look at physics, this would have never happened. Again, this is an anti-science podcast. I say that every time.
Science sucks.
Yeah. We don't believe the science in this household. That's a joke. But
do you know what I'm going to say?
No, I don't. I have no idea where you're going.
The brother.
Which one?
How? I mean, it just makes no sense. And this looks like a tiny house.
Yeah.
The killer is operating in the kitchen, or the kitchen that leads down to the basement is right next door to the living room.
Yeah.
And the living room is where the killer's brother is trying to solve the murder. Because he's not involved. He's trying to help the police, but he's also like a cocaine like guy.
Yeah, he's a coke addict. He's just an enthusiast.
Yeah, he's a
conspiracy guy, and he thinks he's got his finger on the pulse.
So there's a combination lock on the door that his brother is staying at too. Yeah. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you're right. That doesn't make sense.
None of the brother made sense
Especially
at all.
Since that was the front door.
That's the front door.
That's the door that the brother... So when the police were just canvassing the neighborhood and they went and knocking on doors, the brother just opens the door, no problem. He doesn't say, hey, sorry, I have to undo this combination lock real quick.
23.
Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah. He's not like, there, sorry, officer, I can't let you in.
It would have made sense if the brother stayed in the other house.
That would have made
and why didn't he do that? Like, hey, you can have this whole house. Lock the basement or some shit.
Yeah, they even had a shelf in front of it.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, why didn't you just let your brother use this other house? And like that shit made zero sense to me.
Yeah, that part.
Couldn't believe that.
Yeah, that was a little convoluted. Again, we don't see what's going on outside, so maybe he's doing all this at a time when he thinks his brother's not there. I don't know. It's very
maybe
like he doesn't try to lure the kids up from the basement if he knows his brother's around.
Sure.
When his brother goes out for the night to do coke and party, that's when he puts on the mask. He locks the front door. He unlocks he pretends to forget.
I guess it's just a reach. It's like I shouldn't have to do all the explaining.
Exactly.
You know?
Thank you. I shouldn't have to
fill in the gaps for you.
Yeah, it's not my job to be.
Also, the brother just didn't need to be in the movie.
Yeah, I did read about that. They put that character in. That was like a last minute addition. They put that in to give the viewer a break, because it is without that one character gives us a little bit of
lightheartedness.
It's not even that comedic, but it gives a little bit of like, it's the one moment in the middle of the film where they're not constantly building tension and constantly driving towards this climax. We get a little plateau of like, here's a separate scene about a guy that's still peripherally interested in this case, but he's not desperate like the sister. He's not desperate. He's the one guy that doesn't reek of desperation. He's just an interested...
He's an enthusiast.
Yeah,
sure.
He's just a dude that read about this on the news and got into it and put a map up.
Well, he would have been a better guy to be not the killer's brother. He just would have been a better guy that existed.
100%.
Yeah.
That he would, as a guy showing up to the police station bothering people. A guy that meets the little girl. He meets the sister, and then they
have a little side quest.
They bond a little bit.
There could have been. That would have been it. That would have been it.
Which is bad because your brother was abducted by a strange man. Why are you hanging out with a strange man?
Yeah,
just because he'd
have to be very goofy and aloof and not.
Well, it would have to be. You could build tension that way. Like, is he
a part of it?
Is he luring this girl into something else? But it turns out no, he's just a goofy guy, and then he does figure it out somehow. Or there's a helpful addition. Well, he believes her dreams because he's also a nut job.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
He has the neighborhood narrowed down. He walks around. He looks in the mirror, sees a kid in the basement. He goes in. He finds his way down, and then he's dispatched in the exact same way that.
That would have been fine.
That would have been a lot more streamlined and would have made a lot more sense. And then that would have given the daughter a more sympathetic character to lean on than her father, who hates her
and was no use, not looking for his son at all.
He drove her around. She begged her father to drive her around town looking for him because I had a dream about the funny tree outside, and she's like, Dad, please, I know you don't believe in my dreams. I know you think Mom was crazy and she killed herself because of she also had weird
clairvoyant powers.
Yeah, she also had dreams and then she killed herself, and now you hate both of us for it. Just please, just drive me around town looking for this fucked up tree so I can find my brother. And then the dad grudgingly acquiesces and does. So there's one brief little scene of them doing that. That's the only time the dad is like looking at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, having this other character be something else would have made more sense, I think.
That would have been a way cooler story. That would have made this movie a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, because right now I don't see any like themes really in this film. And
here's my biggest problem.
Okay,
is the trailer. You know exactly what's going to happen.
Well, that's true.
You're like, oh, he's going to get the clues from the ghost phone, and then the clairvoyant sister's going to help in some way. Boom. I knew in the trailer, it's like they gave it all away. Dude.
Yeah, and I knew in the trailer that the sister's story and the brother's story, one of them wasn't going to pay off.
Yeah.
And I could guess easily which one would be it. Let's leave spoilers right now.
Okay.
Let's see if I can even leave a marker there. No, I can't. Whatever. Yeah, I'll figure this out later. But so we're out of spoilers right now. Trying to find like there's nothing really other than like the theme of teamwork.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what is this movie about? If we had to dig a little deeper than
I don't think it's about anything. I think it's just like an approachable kind of thriller. You know, like
Yeah.
for maybe 13-year-olds to go to the movie theater and see during the summer. You know, for like a kids to see.
It's a supernatural.
Yeah, it's
kind of thriller.
It's a interesting. It has a sort of interesting thing about it. I could find alluring, not for me, but on paper maybe.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really not a story.
Like if I was 14, I would think this movie was probably pretty cool.
Yeah.
If I was younger and like, wow, that's crazy. You know, the phone. You know, the phone told them what to do.
Yeah, the old timey phone.
If I didn't know other stories and other movies, maybe if I was younger, I'd probably like this movie more.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And let me see. I've got a couple notes. So let's skip that. The only other thing is, so the executive producer is Jason Blum from the House of Blum, or Blumhouse Pictures, as famous for making, you know, B horror movies throughout the decades.
Okay.
Blumhouse is a very famous name. I can't remember what else they've put out, but I'm not a huge horror guy.
Me neither.
So I don't know all this kind of stuff, but if you have anybody in your life that's like a legitimate horror fan and they enjoy even the B horror films and stuff like that, they'll instantly recognize Blumhouse and stuff like that. Blumhouse is like Troma. You know, Blumhouse and Troma are both like those companies that that's what they specialize in.
Sure.
Low budget horror. But anyway, this is one of theirs. It's a little bit bigger than I think they normally do. Here's an interesting story. Again, this is just straight from IMDb, so who even cares? But the director. So Jason Blum is the producer, and Derrickson's the director. The director's house burned down after filming this movie.
Really?
Yeah, he had a fire in his house and he lost his house.
That sucks.
His house burned down actually before filming in 2018. But anyway, so he was like in between houses. He finally moves into a new house after this film was made. And as a gift, the producer sends him a black phone, but he has it secretly installed in his basement.
No.
So the day the director moves into his house, his new house, I don't know how this happened. He probably, you know, got the guy's wife, or he got somebody from the family. He got in on it. But anyway, he hears a phone ringing and he goes down to his basement and he sees a black phone on his wall.
Cool.
So
I kind of like that.
And it's, even though it's an old timey black phone, it's hooked up. It's speed dial to his friend. It's speed dial to the executive producer, Jason Blum. So all he has to do is pick up the phone and it automatically dials Jason Blum. So anyway,
that's hilarious.
That was just a joke he pulled on the director.
That's pretty sick.
That is a pretty funny story.
Yeah, I like that.
What's the part that's I was like, how did you get into this dude's basement? You know, he had
secret tunnel.
He had help on the inside.
Yeah,
to pull out that practical joke. But it's good to see people in Hollywood having fun.
I love it. I love when people that make a lot of money can do really expensive pranks on each other.
Hey, I
like to think about that.
If you're a film producer and you want to pull a prank, why don't you install a phone in your friend's house instead of inviting an intern to your hotel room and then sexually assaulting her? All right? How about that, you fucking Hollywood?
There's different ways to live life, guys.
Hollywood
think
pieces of shit. Why don't you take a page out of Blum's book and do something charming and fun instead of being the goddamn savages you are in fucking L.A. You're all pieces of shit. Savage. And I know you're watching this. All right. Well, would you recommend this film?
Nope.
No, you're saying no.
I'm going to say no.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it has for this type of like story and theme. I really wanted there to be more of an impact than just the ghost helping him and using thing. That to me wasn't enough of like a payoff.
I don't know. I kind of liked it. I liked it very. It was very my 5 Chinese brothers, whatever that old timey story. Yeah, one of them. They all worked together to do something. Yeah, I like that. I thought it was interesting. Again, there's just a few things that I think they should have. You know, I think they could have gone further and added a little bit of not even realism, but added a little bit more grit to it, I guess would be the one thing to say. But yeah, at 104 minutes, an hour 44, go check it out. I would say I would recommend it. If and I'm not even the biggest horror fan or suspense fan, but I did like it. I definitely was on edge. I'm kind of a scaredy cat. I don't like the
jumpies.
I don't like the jumpies, and this one got me a few times. So if you're into that, go for it. You're getting a yes from me and a no from Jimmy D.
That's a rare thing.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty rare.
No, that's great. I need to find I've got a few episodes coming up with some other friends and stuff like that, and I'm gonna start like requesting people that like. I want to find somebody I just like don't agree. That was I want to find somebody I don't agree with.
Sure,
it is sometimes more fun to fight on the pod.
Yeah,
me and Steve back in the day used to just fight about movies. That was kind of the original name of this podcast was Nick and Steve Disagree.
Yeah,
but we ended up not.
It's like those sports shows where like one guy is like tasked of liking something, and then he's like, actually, he is a good quarterback, and the other guy's like, he's trash.
He's a bum.
He's a bum from hell. Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen Smith and Skip Bayless just both being the dumbest people on earth and
cashing checks outside of the desk though.
Just having to have that's the dumbest thing about it. That's why sports like journalism sucks, is because it doesn't none of it matters.
Yeah.
They spend hours and hours talking about like, is this team good? Is it not? It's like, we know they're not good. They're 1-2-1. Like they've we know this Colts team fucking sucks. There's no
this
debate.
Linebacker, he's got something about him I really like, and you're like, well, they're not going to the playoffs.
Yeah. It's Matt Ryan is playing very well. He look at the number of yards. He's got 7 fucking fumbles in 4 games, dude. He sucks.
The stats, they get so like the stats in football are so funny because they'll bring out like the most random stat and be like, maybe there's a chance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they keep making up new formulas. Like, well, if you look at his adjusted quarterback percentage metric, he's actually in the top 18%, which historically, since we've been keeping track of these numbers,
one's done that.
We've been keeping track of these numbers since May of last year, and historically, we haven't really seen a performance like this.
His breaths per meter are just absolutely insane.
Yeah, exactly.
His resting heart rate during passes.
So anyway. Yeah. Anyway, the Colts suck. I think this movie's good. Jimmy thinks it sucks. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Jimmy, where can the folks find out about you?
Yes, it's going to be Sleepy Cowboy TX on Instagram or Bad Thrillers TX on Instagram.
All right. And
also, I should say, too, I don't plug my comedy podcast enough. Danger JRPR. We're releasing our 3rd season of the podcast. I think we're going to upload them all like 2 a week. I believe this week. So if you're interested in a comedy writers podcast, it's pretty funny.
Yeah,
and check it out.
Check out Danger JRPR. 2 a week, huh, for season 3?
Yeah, I think we recorded 10, so it might be like 5 weeks of like
interesting
content. So
that's cool. That's a cool system to do. I know a lot of podcasts do seasons, so they're not constantly trying to come up with shit like I am. Just every week, I like who wants to be on this show. I mean, that's not true.
It worked for us. I think it was more out of like us being so busy. We eventually got to 10. Now we'll just release them,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks, everybody. As always, I'm at Nick Tazzo Drums on Instagram, at Nick Tazzo on Twitter. Follow Let's Get Trashed on Instagram, at Get Trashed Pod on Twitter, all that kind of stuff. Thanks so much. Like and subscribe. Tell a friend about it. Tell me if you like this movie, and when I say tell me, I mean leave a comment on YouTube. Do not tell me in person. No, I'm kidding. If I see you in person, I'd love to hear your thoughts, but I'd even more love
what kind of phone you have in the comments.
Yeah, tell me about your phone.
Tell me about your phone in the comments.
How do we make if we make the 2000 version, we have to remake this for 2000.
Yep.
It's just a Nokia phone. And that's the one that's like it's strong enough for him to
it still has power for the ghost to
Nokia
call.
Phones were so tough, you could still beat the shit out of your captor with that, or you could still dig a hole in the
concrete wall.
In the concrete with the Nokia phone. It's just a bunch of it's a box. That's what it is. It's a drawer of old phones that were discarded because we have a million old electronics. So we got the Nokia to beat somebody over the head with. We have the razor.
Oh, to cut.
Yeah, the razor to
sharpen the sides.
To cut somebody or unscrew something.
There
the
you
Motorola
go.
razor.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, you could get the one that has like a little radio thing on it, the chirpy one. Remember that one? The radio people, like cops and shit.
That was Nextel.
That's a third one for you.
Yeah, the Nextel. So you're talking to a ghost, and you have to be like, unscrew the back of the fridge. Over. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. Let's get trashed.
Peace.